BZA members are volunteers. We receive no compensation. Each of us are appointed by the City Commission for a staggered 3-year term. Under state statute, the BZA hears 3 types of appeals: dimensional or non-use variances, use variances, and appeals of interpretation or rulings of the building official or other boards regarding any provision of the zoning ordinance. Before us tonight, we have 5 dimensional variances. Dimensional or non-use variances, including sign variances, require the applicant to show a practical difficulty in complying with the dimensional requirements of the ordinance. That requires 4 affirmative votes. We typically have a board of 7. As you can see, we have less than a full board tonight. I will get to each of the petitioners in a little bit, but as a heads up and something to think about, when we only have 5 board members, we'll give the applicant an opportunity to postpone their petition and come back at the next meeting, which would be in August, and they would go to the front of the line. Again, 4 affirmative votes are needed, and we have 5 board members here tonight. For those who wish to proceed, our procedure will be as follows. All comments are to be addressed through me as the chair. Please wait to be recognized. We will start with city staff. City staff will make a presentation regarding the appeal and take questions from the board members. After that, we'll invite the applicant up to present his or her case. We ask that only one person be allowed to address the board. In certain instances where there's a technical issue, we will grant exceptions at my discretion. After we close the discussion with the applicant, we will invite members of the public to come forward, identify themselves, give us your name and your address, and provide their comments to the board, after which we will close public comment and entertain any motions from the board members. In all cases, this is not a popularity contest, and granting or denying a variance is based substantially on the applicant meeting his or her burden of proof. Can the secretary please call the roll of the board members?
Eric Morgenmuth. Jason Canvasser.
Here.
Kevin Hart. Richard Lilly.
Here.
John Miller.
Here.
Ron Reddy.
Here.
Carl Pona.
Here.
Donald Rogers.
Thank you. I'm going to call the roll of the applicants. And as I mentioned a moment ago, we have less than a full board. So if anybody knows that they for sure do not want to proceed tonight, feel free to let me know now. I'll give you another opportunity before we hear your appeal. But I don't think there's any reason to have you sit through other appeals if you know you're not going to proceed. The first one on our agenda tonight is 2630 Dorchester, Appeal 2515. Do we have somebody here for that one? The next one will be 1998 Hazel, Appeal 2518. Do we have anybody here? See a hand. The next one is 1133 Latham, Appeal 2519, excuse me. See a hand. 798 Reading, 2520. Do we have anybody here on that one? See a hand. And our last one tonight is 1291 Washington, Appeal 2521. I see a hand on that. Thank you. Mr. Zilke, I see we have a correspondence from the fire department on one of our appeals. Any other correspondence?
No, there's not.
Okay. And has the applicant received a copy of this for their specific appeal?
Yes, it's been emailed and he's got a hard copy.
Perfect. Thank you. All right, board members, before you are the minutes from the last regular scheduled meeting. Do we have any corrections, amendments, concerns, or do we have a motion?
Motion to approve. Second.
We have a motion, a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. All right, we will now proceed to our first appeal of the night, 2630 Dorchester, 2515. And before we get to that, did you have something? Okay, before we get to that, just a quick disclosure. In the past, I've had professional relationship with Babby Construction. I don't currently do any work for them. I don't think there's any need to recuse myself, but in the interest of being transparent, I wanted to bring that to everybody's attention. I did see a hand in the back. Is that somebody who wants to pass?
Yeah, I think we're gonna postpone after talking about it, so I think we're fifth on the agenda for Greater Detroit Landscape. So 98 Washington, Washington.
Okay. All right.
Likewise, third on the agenda, would like to postpone until August meeting.
That's 1133 Latham.
Correct.
Okay. All right. Mr. Zolke, unless you have any other things to address, I'll let them depart for now.
No, I think I'm good. We'll make sure they're on the August agenda and take them as the order they are. They'll be first and second on
Okay.
the agenda in August.
All right. Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
All right. And with that, 2630 Dorchester, I guess I'll start with the applicant, just make sure that they want to proceed. Once we start, we're not going to stop and change minds midway through.
Yep, let's proceed.
Okay. All right. Who will present? Well, from the city first.
Sorry.
Okay, hi. Mike Morad here to present case appeal number 25-15. The owner of the property known as 2630 Dorchester requests the following variance to construct a new home. Chapter 126, Article 4, Section 4.74C of the zoning ordinance requires that a minimum distance between principal residential buildings on an adjacent lot to be 14.00 feet or 25% of the lot width, whichever is larger. The required is 14.00 feet. The proposed is 12.23 feet. Therefore, a variance of 1.77 feet is requested on the west side. The applicant is looking to construct a new home with an attached garage. Here's the house as it sits on the lot. I'm going to blow this up over here on the west side. It should be blowing up here. There you go. As you can see, this is the typical 5995 type scenario here, where the home on this side is 5.53 feet away, so they're maintaining their 9 feet on this side here. And so this side here, they're maintaining 5, but this home next door here is only 6.56 feet away. So the totals between would be 12.23. So that's why they're requesting the variance on that side of the home.
Okay. Board members, any questions? Yes, sir.
So if that lot were vacant, would they need a variance?
No, they would not.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
Mike, the house adjacent that's causing the issue here, is that a newer home or is that an old pre-existing home in the neighborhood?
That's an older home.
Okay, all right, so long before the current zoning requirements, correct?
That's correct.
Thank you.
Anything else from the board? Oh, Mr. Miller.
Yeah, what would the negative effect be of that home if it was to be torn down and built?
What would the negative effect be on the home to
Or
the
the-
west?
yeah.
There would be none, because they would have to, this home would be 5 feet away. They would have to maintain their 9 feet,
Their 9.
like they would any other time anyways.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else, Mr. Board members? No? All right. Thank you. Who will speak on behalf of the applicant?
Hello, I'm Derek Babby from Babby Construction. As Mike Moretta mentioned, we're here for the variance for the total distance between structures. As mentioned, if the lot to the west was vacant, we would not need the variance. As you can see, actually, we built the house to the east on the left side. We built that same house, slightly different footprint, but same width, and no variance needed on that one. So once you get to the corner, it kind of shakes things up, and like I said, if vacant, would not need the variance.
Thank you. Board members, any questions? Mr. Miller?
Yeah, why did you decide to put the driveway on the east side instead of the west side?
We always try to fit the neighborhood. Every single house on that street all has their driveways on the left, so you always try to keep the similarity between.
Okay, and one more question. So you're maintaining 14 and a half feet on the east side?
Yes.
Is there a reason you didn't throw that extra half a foot to the other side of the house?
Well, if we did that, that would actually make the variance even greater. So we're right at the, if you can see at the top left corner of our property, you can see it right at the 9-foot mark. So we're already at the minimum.
Oh, okay, I'm looking at a lower
So if we made that
dimension.
9.5,
Yeah.
that would make the other side even
I understand.
greater.
Thank you.
Any other board members have questions? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody from the public wish to speak, whether in the audience or on Zoom? And if you're on Zoom, please use the raise hand feature. I don't believe we have anybody calling in, but if we do at star 9, is that correct? Star 9. I don't see anybody with a raised hand, so I don't see anybody in the public. We'll close public comment. Board members, what's your pleasure on this one? Mr. Reddy.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion with regards to 2630 Dorchester, Appeal 25-15. I would move to approve, tying it to the plans. This is a relatively common occasion that we see here in Birmingham, where somebody is constructing a new residence within the required setbacks, and the only reason that he requires a variance is because of pre-existing older home that is not within the setbacks that are currently required by the zoning regulations. I feel that in this particular case, there are special conditions that are applicable to the property simply because the house to the west, as described by the appellant, encroaches on the required setback, and it's a pre-existing older home. Literal enforcement of the chapter would result in necessary hardship, and granting the variance is not contrary to the spirit and purpose of the zoning ordinance. For those reasons, and tying it to plan, I would move to approve.
We have a motion. I see a second. Any discussion? Ms. Miller?
Yeah, just a comment. I will support the motion too, but this, we have kind of set a precedent. There's been many other similar conditions like this, and just this follows that precedent that has been set before by this board, and it's a very, I believe, reasonable request.
Anything else? All right, please call the roll. Motions to approve.
Ron Ready,
Yes.
Richard Lilly,
Yes.
John Miller,
Yes.
Carl Kona,
Yes.
Jason Canvaser.
Yes. Motion's granted. You have your variance. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, moving to our second appeal of the evening, 1998 Hazel, 2518. Mr. Morad? Oh, Mr. Zilke.
I'm going to do this one. Jeff Zilke, here to present case 25-18, property known as 1998 Hazel. Request the following to construct a new home. Chapter 126, Article 4, Section 4.74C of the zoning ordinance requires that a minimum distance between principal residential buildings on adjacent lots are to be 14 feet or 25% of lot width, whichever is larger. The required is 14 feet, the proposed is 10 feet. Therefore, a variance of 4 foot is being requested on the west side. And let me zoom in on this. It's a corner lot. Being a corner lot, you're required to have 10 feet, and they have 5 foot minimum, so they meet their 15 feet distance or total combined side yard setbacks. With doing that with the neighboring house that was constructed in 2020, that was granted a variance, and that's where it's asking for that variance of the 4 foot for the distance between structures, because that one's at 5 foot and this one's at also 5 foot. Any questions?
Board members, any questions? Yes, Mr. Cota.
So, per the code, the minimum width of the house is 25 feet, correct?
Correct. Our ordinance says on a corner lot, you can't reduce a building envelope less than 25 feet. And this one is right at 25 feet, and it also meets, if there was no house next to it, it meets all the ordinance, meets the corner lot restrictions, and it's just that distance between structures that's causing the issue.
Yeah, so they couldn't build you couldn't build anything on this lot because of the fact that it's a corner lot and you have to have 25 foot and the setbacks.
Correct. And the way the ordinance says, you can't reduce that envelope less than 25.
Right, okay, thank you.
No problem. Any other questions from the board? Okay. Who will speak on? Oh,
There's a raised hand here.
let's see, we have a raised hand from somebody in the public. Is somebody here to speak on behalf of the petitioner for this one? Okay, we will come to the person during public comment. Please come up and.
Thank you.
Please come up and let us know what you want to hear. You want us to hear.
Good evening, Board. My name is Lyndon Lychai. I'm an owner of LL Investments for the address 1998 Hazel. Like Jeff says, that we met the building envelope requirements, and we were asking for 4-foot variance on that west side to make the structure.
Okay, thank you. Board members, any questions? Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
All right, now we'll turn to public comment. I know we had a hand.
Okay.
Let me,
Yeah, hi, this is Michael Wilson. So I'm the owner of the house next door, and I guess I have a couple concerns. And maybe I'm reading the blueprints wrong. If the blueprints are meant to indicate that there is 5 feet between my property line and then another 9 feet between the property line and the existing house, that's incorrect. There's only 12 feet between my house and the existing house and that property line. So that's kind of my concern number one. My concern number two is that there's not 5 feet between my property and the fence that separates the two properties. There's actually 4 feet. And then my third concern is the two egress windows. I'm a little concerned that there's not going to be enough space between the two egress windows to safely exit either basement. And then my last concern is that the properties across the street are not 10 feet apart. They're about 11 and a half feet apart. So maybe I'm not understanding all the 25 feet coverage rule, but I don't understand why this property needs the variance where the properties across the street do not require the same variance.
okay, thank you. It doesn't appear that we have any information in front of us regarding the properties across the street. Mr. Zilke, do you know anything about that?
That I do not. I know me and the applicant did discuss the egress window, and I know on a plan it's actually moving away because with the overdig and the egress window, there is going to be some distance, and I know he could speak of the exact location where he's doing it. It's actually moving it more towards the front, so there won't be, almost on this plan, as you see, here's the existing egress window on the neighboring Mr. Wilson's house, and the proposed house is here. Me and the applicant did speak of it when he's coming to the board. That is getting moved out of that way, so there shouldn't be no real tightness with the egress window, so there'll be more space. As far as across the street, I don't know what those dimensions are. I'm assuming it's kind of a similar thing, because I know this existing house, I know he mentioned it was 4.2. With this house going away, he's actually putting it at 5 foot, so he's actually mitigating from what the existing one was. And it was on a little bit of an angle because the other house was twisted. It looks like it's 4.2 in the back, 5.5 feet up at the front. It's getting straightened up, and it would be 10 foot, all the way across. Hopefully that answers the question that maybe Mr. Wilson's concern, and hopefully that answers your guys' question.
And the window wells, the egress wells don't count towards those setbacks, correct?
No, they're able to project 3 feet into that required side yard setback, but when they do the overdig, it's almost close to that fence line. It's always been kind of the question that a lot of people have when they're building a house, and the concern, and we get a lot of calls on that. But with talking to the applicant, he, recognizes it. He's going to move it away so that overdig, it's not going to be so close, so concerning with the overdig from Mr. Wilson's egress window and the new proposed egress window.
Okay, and I'm assuming if Mr. Wilson has questions about the houses across the street, he's welcome to come to the city.
No, absolutely. I don't know those numbers. I'm not sure why. I mean, I'm sure it's kind of a similar situation, the 9.5, but I don't know that number for sure.
And I guess I'll just ask, Mr. Wilson's house had a variance granted to it. Did I get that
Yes,
correctly?
there was actually a variance granted on that house in 2020. It was also for the distance between, on actually both sides of that property. On the west side, there was a variance of 0.2 feet. And then on the east side, there's a variance of 3.3 feet, because there's 10.7 feet, 10.70 feet on the side, and then this one being at 5 foot. It's actually bringing it a little bit closer with this proposed house, but there was a variance on both those houses for, on the distance between Mr. Wilson's side, on the west and the east side. And that was granted back in April of 2020.
Thank you. Mr. Wilson, I'm going to try to ask you to unmute if you have anything else for the record. We're certainly willing to listen.
I mean, that's all fine. I guess I just want to be clear, though, that there's not currently 14 feet between the two houses. So there's 12 feet between my house and the property. So is the variance being asked to move it 2 feet from the existing house, or is it being asked to move 4 feet from the existing house? The plans, to me, maybe I'm just not understanding the plans. The plans seem to indicate that there's 5 feet plus 9 feet between the two existing structures, and that's not accurate.
I believe what he's looking at is that 9 foot where it says setback. That would be the setback under normal conditions. They'd have to be 5 and 9 on that, you see?
Right. I guess, Mr. Wilson, to answer your question, the requirement to make it 14 feet would be 9 foot, and then on this plan where it's showing this 9 foot setback is just showing the setback line of the building envelope. If it was the 14 feet, the 5 foot that's on your property, and the 9 foot to kind of give that 14 foot. But with the ordinance being in a corner lot, you can't reduce a building envelope less than 25 feet, which this building envelope is. It's required to be 10 feet off of the side street, and then the minimum is 5 foot, so that's where it's showing. So that 9 foot setback is if it was conforming, so it's not where the house is going to be. It would be at that 5 foot, and then you'll match in your house at the 5 foot, if that makes sense.
If I may, right along the thumb.
So that's fine. Yeah, sorry. One last comment. That's fine. I want to make one other point, though, that maybe I did not replace the fence between the two properties. I've maintained the existing fence, but I want to make it clear that there's not 5 feet between my house and the fence that separates our two properties. So I want the builder to note that there's a foot, I guess, based on these plans, there's a foot on the other side of the fence between the two properties. That is my property line.
Okay, and the fence issue isn't before us tonight, and we don't use the fence as the boundary line. We use the property survey lines. But your comments have been noted for the record. Mr. Moran or Mr. Zilke, did you want anything else?
What I was going to suggest is, if you look at the hand, I'm moving the thumb down along where the existing home is. You see that line where the thumb of the hand is? That's the line of the old house. So that's what he's referring to, which is about 12 feet from his home. That's where the confusion is. He's looking at this line as being the old home, and it's this line right here, just so you know that.
Okay. All right. Anybody else from the public wish to comment on this appeal? Seeing no hands, nobody from the public, we'll close public comment. Board members, how do you want to proceed on this request? Yes, Mr. Miller.
I would move to approve 1998 Hazel. When I first looked at this, I'd forgotten that the requirement to build a home was the 25 feet. So with the 5 feet on one side, the 25 and the 10, those are the minimum dimensions to allow this site to be buildable. And we'd certainly want to have this site being buildable. Also, the adjacent house did receive a variance to allow them to be where they are in relation to the property line. So I think because of that, this is a reasonable request. And I think because of the special conditions applicable to the property in question, the provisions of the zoning ordinance, if strictly applied, would certainly prevent the property owner from using it for its permitted purpose. Literal enforcement would certainly create a hardship, and I think that granting this variance will not be contrary to the spirit of the zoning ordinance, and would do substantial justice to this proposal on this particular lot. It's a similar condition to what is across the street, where it's less than 14 feet there also. So I think that this is, again, a reasonable proposal with the difficulties presented to this lot, and I would tie approval to the plans as submitted.
Motion approved. We have a second from Mr. Reddy. Board, any comments? I'll just say I'll support it. I think absent of variance, there's no house to be built here, so I think we really don't have much choice here. I think the request is very reasonable. Please call the roll of the board. The motion is to approve.
John Miller,
Yes.
Ron Ready,
Yes.
Carl Kona,
Yes.
Jason Canvaser,
Yes.
Richard Lilly.
Yes.
Congratulations, you have your variance. All right, we've passed 2519, so we'll go to 2520, 798 Reading. Who from the city is going to present this one? Come on up.
Thank you. Andrew Erickson, here to present appeal number 2520. The owner of the property, known as 798 Reading, requests the following variance to construct an addition off the east side of a non-conforming home. Chapter 126, Article A, Section 4.75 of the zoning ordinance requires that a private attached garage must be set back a minimum of 5 feet from the portion of the front facade on the first floor of the principal residential building that is furthest set back from the front property line. The proposed is 54.54 feet behind the front of the garage, therefore a variance of 59.54 feet is being requested.
All right. Board members, any questions? Yes, Mr. Kona.
So the issue is any change they do to this property, the front becomes an issue no matter where they do it or how they do it.
Correct, because the garage is out in front.
Okay. And so other than the garage front facade issue, there's no problem with anything that they're doing with the addition?
No.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions? All right, thank you. Who is going to speak on behalf of the applicant?
Good evening, Glenda Meads here with Glenda Meads Architects. I've prepared the plans for Ms. Lunghammer's addition, and yes, just wanted to state that the existing non-conforming garage, built out front like that prior to this ordinance is, the practical difficulty, and it's not self-created. Further wanted to say, because the side lot line jogs, this requirement to be behind a garage on a non-conforming condition does not permit her to fully use the width of her property, because it jogs there, and it's sort of injustice to where she might be able to add at all, and if at all, to this house. And lastly, there's no injustice to the neighbors. The neighboring property is a commercial property, so they, don't have an objection to this. And it's very screened along there. All the screening and trees and stone wall are all the homeowner's screening that she's put in place. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Anybody from the public wish to speak? I'm sorry, before we hit the public, board members, any questions? Okay. All right, now, anybody in the public? I don't see anybody in the audience. I don't see any hands, so close public comment. Board members, how do you want to proceed on this one? Mr. Kona.
I'll make a motion to approve 798 Reading because of the conditions of this property being a pre-existing condition. The applicant appears to be trying to put an addition on that isn't changing the pre-existing condition at all or worsening the situation. So I don't think it's a issue where it's going to change that part of the property. It would be an unnecessary hardship for them not to be able to put anything, do any kind of modifications to their house because of this pre-existing condition. And the spirit of the ordinance is not really being changed or impacted by this because they're not changing what was already a pre-existing condition. And I don't think this is going to result in any injustice to the neighborhood because they're, to me, enhancing the property, not doing anything detrimental to it. So for those reasons, I would move to approve this and tie this to the plans.
Motion, Mr. Miller, is that a second?
Yeah, I'd second. I just want to add that this is kind of, this dilemma is kind of an unintended consequence of our zoning ordinance, and the request is really reasonable. It's an interesting, very unusual lot, and it has really nice landscaping in the front, so this addition is actually invisible from the street. I had a hard time figuring out exactly when I was walking around what the lot was doing. So it's a very also unique condition, and I'd just like to add that and second the motion.
Any other comments from the board? All right, please call the roll.
Carl Connor,
Yes.
John Miller,
Yes.
Ron Ready,
Yes.
Jason Canvaser,
Yes.
Richard Lilly.
Yep. Yes.
Thank you.
Congratulations, you have your variance. All right. The last appeal of the evening has passed till the next hearing, so I don't see anybody in the audience, but I'll just ask whether anybody on Zoom or in the audience has anything to address that wasn't on the agenda tonight. Seeing none. Mr. Zolke, anything else we need to address tonight?
No, I think we are all set.
Hey. Would anybody like to make a motion to adjourn? Yes, sir.
Let's make a motion to adjourn.
All right, do we have a second? We have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? We're adjourned.